be doing this with you. I've known you for a long time through the ABA and have really watched you contribute over the past several years as your career's developed and you've become a mom. And so I'm really thrilled that Henry picked you to spotlight in this one. So without further ado, can you tell us who you are and where do you practice?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for the warm introduction. I'm delighted to be here. So, my name is Ella Vincent. I am a senior specialist legal editor with Practical Law, which is part of Thomson Reuters. I'm on their bankruptcy and restructuring team. I am based out of the Twin Cities, so I work in Thomson Reuters' Eagan, Minnesota office, and I live in Minneapolis. My job is largely writing and maintaining practical laws, bankruptcy, and restructuring content, which is, I tell people, a dream job. It's super fun. You get to stay up to date on all that's going on in bankruptcy and see how it impacts existing precedent and parts of the code and analyze what that means for attorneys in practice. So it's a really fun job. Most of my work is focused on corporate bankruptcies and Chapter 11 matters. And so before this, I was in private practice. I worked at a few different firms in Seattle and Minneapolis, mostly working on bankruptcy, insolvency, creditor debtor matters, usually debtor side. Or
Okay.
sorry, no, usually creditor side. Couple debtor representations, but usually creditor side.
Okay. Tell me, so where did you grow up? Where did you go to college?
I grew up in Minneapolis. I went to undergrad at the University of Minnesota. I was a double major in political science and French studies. And then I decided it was a great time to make a move, and I moved all the way out west to Eugene, Oregon, and I went to law school at the University of Oregon. My now husband, who I was dating at the time, is an aerospace engineer, and he was working for Boeing in their St. Louis facility, and we were trying to figure out where to land after law school. And he wanted to keep working for Boeing, and I wanted to keep living in the Pacific Northwest. And so Seattle was the perfect option, and it was a fantastic decision. We lived in Seattle together for about 5 years before moving back to Minnesota, and we absolutely love Seattle.
Awesome. So you're in Minneapolis right now?
Yeah.
Um, Describe your involvement with the ABA's Business Bankruptcy Committee. How long have you been involved and in what capacities?
Absolutely. So I got involved with the Business Bankruptcy Committee back in March of 2021. At the time, I was working for a firm in Seattle called Miller Nash, and a partner there who I was working with, John Knapp, is involved in the ABA. And one of the judges that we both knew in Seattle, Judge Alston, was currently chairing the BBC. And so it was a perfect opportunity to get involved, especially in kind of still kind of the COVID time. The ABA was offering a lot of opportunities for remote conference attendance. And so I was like, great, this is the way I can get involved and meet people, even though I'm not traveling yet. And I started on the legislation subcommittee. That's where we met. We worked on the legislation updates together, which I thought was really fun. And then it was about a year and a half later, the BBC formed its Young and New Lawyer Subcommittee, which aligns with something I'm very passionate about, which is helping mentor and support young and new lawyers as they're starting out in the bankruptcy field. And so I became a vice chair of that subcommittee. And then over time, I became the chair. So I'm now the chair of the Young and New Lawyer Subcommittee. And I'm also serving as one of the coordinators for the Match Portal as we're launching that and helping people find projects to work on or people to help them with their projects.
Tell me about the Match Portal.
Yeah, so the Match Portal is pretty new. It launched, I think, about a year ago. And the Match Portal is a place where BBC or any business law section members who are looking for assistance on projects can post their project, post a short description, your contact information. You can mark if it's a good project for a law student or a newer attorney. And then it populates into a page where people who are looking for projects to contribute to can go and search. And so they can filter by what committee the project is involved with, They can see what the time commitment looks like, if there's a specific start or end date. And so it's a way to connect people to work on projects together who may not otherwise know each other, so that it's to I guess lessen the friction between finding someone to work on your project or finding a project to work on. Because when you're a newer attorney, it can be hard to know where to go or who to connect with. And so it's a great entry point. We're really excited to have it available.
Very cool. It's not paid work, right? It's like projects within the ABA, BBC.
Yep, it's anything within the business law section. So
Okay.
that includes the BBC, but it also includes other committees within the business law section. So consumer bankruptcy, commercial finance. So it's also if someone has a practice that involves a couple different areas, they could look there and they could see who's posted from those committees and what those opportunities might be.
Okay. As the chair of the Young Lawyers Division, do you have advice for people that are new to the ABA, BBC, how to get involved?
Yeah, I would say conference attendance is a fantastic way to get involved. It is, a little bit of a time commitment because it's a couple days, but I think the spring meeting is a fantastic way to meet people. There are lots of interesting CLEs, both bankruptcy and other business law topics. There are networking events, and then there's these smaller subcommittee meetings that often are open to anyone. Like we had one for the Young and New Lawyers Subcommittee, and we had probably half a dozen law students attend. And it was a great opportunity to just ask them, what are you interested in? What would be helpful to you? What kind of content do you like? What method of delivery do you like? Do you like a webinar, a podcast? And I think that that conference in particular is very friendly to young and new lawyers. The other thing I would recommend is don't be shy about reaching out. The Business Bankruptcy Committee is a very, very friendly community. I have so adored being part of it and have found that the members of the business bankruptcy community really want to see people succeed in their careers and want to help connect them to speaking opportunities, writing opportunities, just other people that are good to know. And don't be shy about reaching out. You're very welcome here, and we want to be here with you. And it's never an inconvenience, so don't be shy.
Awesome. I love that. Do you have a favorite ABA, BBC memory?
Maybe a BBC memory. That's a good question.
Maybe from one of the conferences. I'll never forget the first one I attended, and I came late to the party. I came late to the party. I'd been practicing uh, for like 15 years or something. And we discussed this before we even recorded the call, but I was about to go to China to adopt Scarlett, my little one. And I was like, I got to get this in because my mentor in Philadelphia told me like I should join the ABA BBC for business development. He told me like 10 years ago. And I was like, oh, this is my last hurrah. I got to try this. And I literally went like 3 days before I left for Beijing. And it was such an awesome experience. You're just exactly as you said, like people were so friendly. They want to help you. They want to know where you practice. They want to get you published. They want to get you involved. And it was very memorable for me. I mean, I felt really I'm like, wow. I wish I had done this a decade ago. But you weren't there. I don't think we met then. It was in Vancouver actually.
No, I wasn't at Vancouver. I think we met in Indianapolis.
Oh,
Which that I guess that is one of my favorite BBC memories was that. So that was my first time going to NCBJ.
yeah.
I was one of the recipients of the first class of 2020 Partners Awards, and I remember going and just meeting. I was so nervous. Like it was my first really big conference. I wasn't sure how to navigate it, and everyone was so kind, and it was it made navigating a large conference so much easier because I knew I had friendly faces and people rooting for me.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to access incredible content, to network with people, to meet lots of people. And that's just kind of built as I've gone to more conferences over the years of now. I so look forward to the BBC chairs, vice chairs meeting, and especially the dinner afterwards of just getting to reconnect with friends from around the country and find out what's going on in their lives, catch up, find out, what kind of interesting things they're seeing in practice and connect with people who I care about and I respect.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I know. It's like I can geek out on bankruptcy work too, like in the confines and solitude of my office. But to reach out across the country with people that are still they're also geeking out over the same laws and
Exactly.
and it is a challenging practice, particularly on the debtor side and credit. I mean, but yeah, it's the distress industry for a reason. The word stress is in there,
Yes.
distress. But okay, that's awesome. So when you were in private practice, do you have a favorite memory of a client that you worked on, like an ideal client?
Um, I have a very impactful memory. So when I was a very new lawyer, I was in my first 2 years of practice. I was working for a firm that took on a debtor side representation for a distressed healthcare system in Chapter 9 bankruptcy. So it was a municipal healthcare bankruptcy. And that was incredibly impactful to me because it wasn't just a restructuring, it was a restructuring of a rural hospital. And so it was absolutely critical that the restructuring was successful and that the hospital continued to operate so that residents nearby had access to healthcare. Um, and it really showed me that the practicality of the work. Bankruptcy is not a theoretical practice. It is real life implications for people, both who work for the debtor or who are just around the debtor, who rely on the debtor for certain services or care. And so it put a very clear understanding in my head that the work restructuring attorneys do really matters and that it's important to be thoughtful and practical and keep the real life impacts of the work in mind. And so it was it was a really special experience and really informative for me as an attorney.
I love that. I'm gonna quote that. I'm pulling that out as a quote. It's true. It is true. I mean, it's stressful work, but I find that I always say that I was in a service fraternity in college, and
Okay.
I always I like doing service projects. I still drag my kids in mission trips and things like that just to get
Oh,
out of our routine and get a different perspective on life. But I feel like our work truly, it's a hybrid practice. It's litigation and transactional work, but it's also service oriented. There's definitely a service component to it.
yep.
And you articulate that so well. Um, okay, I'm going to ask some personal questions.
Okay.
What do you do in your spare time?
So I most of my spare time is spent with my family. I have a 2.5-year-old. And so a lot of it's spent chasing him around playgrounds and playrooms, and he's very into his play kitchen right now. So it's a lot of making pizzas,
What's his name?
fake pizzas.
I can,
Uh,
what's his name?
his name's Ben.
Okay, Ben.
But when I'm not doing that, I really like to bake. And I've just started in the last year or so re-engaging with sewing. I used to sew when I was a kid and I kind of put it down for a while. And now I'm starting to sew again, and that's really, really fun. Um,
What are you making?
uh, what am I making?
Yeah, right now.
Right now, I have a couple friends who are expecting babies later this year, so I'm working on sewing some baby gifts for them. So, these little like fabric tag toys. So it's a different feeling fabrics on both sides to get a texture, and then little ribbon tags on the edges. So there are things for them to touch, different colors, different textures. It's kind of like a sensory toy. Um, I loved them when my son was really little because you can throw them in the washing machine. They don't take up a lot of space. They're a great diaper bag toy. Because you can just use them on the go. And then I always do make a couple. That way, if one's dirty, you always have a backup.
I love
So
that. What
yeah,
else?
it's really fun.
What else? What else? You were going to say something else other than sewing. It's so cool.
I was going to say that this week I'm very excited because I'm a very big fan of the Minnesota State Fair, and the Minnesota State Fair starts on Thursday.
Okay.
I'm taking my son on Friday, and it is I've until I went to law school, I went every year of my life. And then since I have moved back to Minnesota, I've gone every year. So it's a really fun experience. Highly encourage if anyone is visiting Minnesota at the end of summer to check it out. It's really fun. But that's a highlight of my free time in the late summer.
I love it. That is so fun. I've never been to Minnesota. I think it's time. I think it's
It's a
time.
lovely state. It's I will warn that during state fair time it is very hot and humid. So it's not the most like physically comfortable experience, but it's fun. And then the fall is beautiful. It's, cool, crisp fall leaves, is beautiful reds and golds, and they kind of shimmer, the reflection shimmers onto the Mississippi rivers. It's quite lovely.
Very cool. I'm inspired. Okay. Tell us something not everyone knows about you.
Not everyone knows that my first job was as a fishmonger. I was a junior in high school and I worked at a local fish shop selling um, fish to eat and providing cooking recommendations. And it was a really fun job. It was great for learning about customer service, of that you needed to know your product really well and you need to be kind of able to anticipate needs of like, oh, if somebody, is wants to use this for sushi, there's only certain fish that are safe to be eaten raw, or oh, they want to cook for this many people. Okay, this is about how much you would want, and this would be an easy way to prepare it. This would be a more elaborate way to prepare it. And I learned in that job that my favorite fish is Arctic char, which is a lovely fish. It's kind of like a cross between salmon and trout. And I still love cooking it. Very simple preparation. Just put it in the oven, a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, some lemon slices, and you bake it. And it just has a lovely flavor on its own. You don't need to do much to it.
I love that. That is so cool. So are you on near a body of water?
Well, we have a lot of lakes, so we do get a fair amount of lake fish, but most of the fish is flown into Minneapolis, St. Paul International Airport. So there's a lot of overnight flights of fish, and a lot of fish comes frozen these days. So
Oh,
it will get flash frozen wherever it's caught, and then it's brought in frozen.
interesting. Okay. Okay. All right. How about, do you have advice for business clients who may be in distress?
My number one piece of advice is to contact a experienced insolvency attorney early. Whether you're debtor side or creditor side, getting counsel involved early is a very good idea. There are opportunities that disappear with time. You have more options. You can pursue more strategies if you get someone in the loop early. If, depending on the case, they might be able to keep a really light touch to keep the bill manageable. But having that trusted counsel early in the case gives you more opportunities to make decisions that advance your interests instead of waiting and then having less options, and maybe the options that are left aren't ideal.
Exactly. Great advice. I know that you said you did mostly creditor work. Do you have any other advice for creditors who are looking to collect on a debt?
I think the advice is mostly the same
Yeah.
because the attorney can help decide, what does the relationship look like going forward? What are your current rights? How are those rights impacted if they file for bankruptcy? So I think the advice is largely the same of, make sure you have counsel that you trust that has experience in this space and with these issues, and that you just kind of loop them in, keep them up to date about what's going on. They're there to help you and they want to help you, and they might be able to give you a better outcome or a less expensive outcome in terms of lawyers' fees if they're involved early. Not always, but it definitely keeps more options open to you if you get them involved early.
Sure. I think that's great advice. Okay, I'm down to my 10 rapid fire questions. Are you ready for me?
I am ready.
Okay, I think I asked this before, but what was the law school that you went to?
The University of Oregon School of Law.
Okay. And do you watch Netflix? What's a favorite show that you watch?
My favorite show on Netflix right now is Gilmore Girls. It was a favorite show when I was a kid, and I still comfort watch it.
Okay. What about movies? Do you have a favorite
I,
movie?
I don't really have a favorite movie, but I do really like the movie Groundhog Day. I try to celebrate the holiday of Groundhog Day by watching it. But otherwise, I'm pretty open to most movies. Not horror. I don't like horror movies, but
Yeah,
most other movies.
don't put me in there. Best vacation?
Um, my husband and I went to Kona, Hawaii after I took the bar exam, and that was so much fun. Went hiking, snorkeling, saw a sea turtle when we were snorkeling. You know, you can't touch them, so it just like swam by us. It's very cool. That was probably the most fun vacation I've had.
I love that. We were just at the lake in the Pennsylvania mountains here, and we were swimming, and we saw what looked like a snapping turtle, and this like we were swimming in it. And my
Oh
little
my
8-year-old, she was like tortured. She's like, "Can we chat GBT about snapping turtles? Like, what's happening?" I don't know. Yeah, it was disturbing, but it was cool to see. It was in a lake though. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm afraid of snapping turtles. Sea turtles, they're very chill. They just kind of want to be doing their own thing. But snapping turtles, when I was a kid, I was always like, oh, are they gonna bite my toes? Like, made me very nervous.
We were stand-up paddleboarding and she kept going overboard because she was sitting on it. She's 8. We
Yeah,
were
yeah.
she kept like diving over. But yeah, talking about turtles. Okay, what about favorite dessert?
I love chocolate. So the specific dessert will vary by mood, whether it's like a flourless chocolate torte or a warm chocolate chip cookie or tiramisu, but it almost always is something that has chocolate in it.
Make all those things? Can you bake all those?
I've never made a tiramisu. I'm
Okay.
a little intimidated by it because of all the layers, but someday. But I have made, I love making chocolate chip cookies, and I have made some flourless chocolate torts. I also have a favorite cake that is it's a chocolate red wine cake, and it's delightful. You cook all the alcohol out because you put the red wine in the batter, but it just leaves this very like interesting flavor. It has some cinnamon in it. It's very nice.
Very cool. Best gift ever.
This past Christmas, my husband gave me a mug that I could take to work that has pictures of my son and I all over it.
Oh,
So that's really fun because then I always have pictures of him with me, and it just cheers me up throughout the day.
I love that. I love photos. What is the last song you listened to on your iPhone? If you have one.
Um, Now That We Don't Talk by Taylor Swift, I've been re-listening to her 1989 album, the Taylor's version with the behind the vault, in the vault, from the vault, with all the From the Vault tracks, and that's a From the Vault track that I had not known before, so now it's stuck in my head.
Love it. Last podcast listen to.
Good Inside with Dr. Becky. It was a podcast about how to think about screen time and like different things to think about when you're thinking about screen time for kids.
Okay. Do you have a pet?
I have two cats.
Do you, and the last question is, what is one of the best cities you've ever visited?
Strasbourg, France. My husband and I went there in December 2017 for the Christmas market, and it was truly magical.
Very cool. Somebody else said that too, I want to say. Thank you so much, Ella. This was an awesome interview. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely, my pleasure, Celine. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and it's always great to chat with you.
Too.